Hi! Welcome to this part of my review featuring the Weird Frontiers role-playing game. If you haven't seen the other parts of my review featuring this Weird West Dungeon Crawl Classics style role-playing game, please check out the playlist in the description below. This time we are going to talk about the structure of a combat round. We start with surprise. Before either side acts in combat, the judge determines if anyone is surprised or too frightened to act. Characters that have no chance to detect someone or something waiting to get the jump on them are automatically surprised. Judges may give characters a chance to detect traps, ambushes, etc. with an opposed ability check. The character or monster attempting the surprise rolls 1d20 plus agility modifiers, and the target gets a d20 plus intelligence modifier to try to counter this. Surprised targets lose their first round actions and are flat-footed, that is, their positive agility modifier is not added to armor class this round. When it comes to fear, judges should determine whether to call for a grit check before each encounter after determining surprise. Grit is a new ability used to determine just how well a character stands up in the face of fear. We will talk about fear and madness in a future part of this review. When it comes to initiative rolls are handled by rolling a d20 plus any agility modifier, with any additional modifiers based on the situation or special abilities that might enhance or detract from the character's ability to react. Keep in mind that two-handed weapons suffer a penalty to initiative rolls. Funnel games typically involve larger groups of characters that will slow down gameplay if you roll for each character. So in the case of several player characters and several enemies, it's better to group the different types of characters together, perhaps 4 player characters or 4 types of enemies with a single check for each group, with the highest agility modifier counting for all of the characters involved. Now when it comes to actions, during each round of combat, participants can move up to their normal rate of movement and take one action using their action die. Keep in mind that some activities may take multiple rounds to complete, such as spell casting or setting up a dynamite charge. Where multiple rounds are required, make the roll on the final round of the task at hand. Judges may allow a character to forego any movement in order to take a move-related action instead, such as drawing a pistol and firing it. So there are different actions that you can carry out, such as opening a door, lighting a torch, making a melee or ranged attack, filling a canteen, drawing or sheathing a pistol or other weapon, etc. Now when it comes to armor class, unarmored characters begin the game with an armor class of 10 plus any agility modifiers. Oh, and before I forget, there are also some actions that only require a movement action, so you could perhaps draw your pistol and fire in the same round. Going back to armor class is further modified by spells, lucky rolls, miracles, contraptions, and mundane items that a character has crafted. Each time a character increases in level, they gain a cumulative bonus to their armor class. This is to represent that if you get shot at enough, you'll eventually learn how to dive for cover. I think this is a good mitigation, so that you are not always looking for the best armor around, the most expensive, or the armor that requires the most risk to obtain when you go into very dangerous places. This way it feels more like a Wild West type of game. Now when it comes to types of combat and the attack roll, attacks taking place within arm's reach, usually within 5 feet, are melee combat, and use strength modifiers to add to both attack and damage rolls. Fights beyond 5 feet are ranged attacks and use firearms and weapons that inflict damage from a safe distance. Ranged attacks use agility modifiers on the attack roll, but not the damage roll. To attack, characters roll their action die, modified by any relevant ability score modifiers and any situational modifiers. An attack roll equal to or greater than the target's armor class is successful. Characters with multiple attacks or wielding multiple weapons often roll a die lower on the chain than the standard d20. When it comes to critical hits, characters rolling a natural unmodified 20 on a d20 land a crushing blow for their efforts, and the attack automatically hits regardless of the target's armor class. Scoring a critical hit allows the character a chance to roll on the critical hit table based on the type of damage, blunt, piercing, firearms, etc. Should a character be lucky enough to roll a die higher on the chain for an attack roll, remember to adjust the number required for a critical hit. That is, if you are rolling a d30, you get a critical hit when you roll a natural 30. Now, when it comes to fumbles, a fumble occurs when a natural unmodified 1 is rolled on an attack. Not only does the attack miss, but the player must immediately roll on the fumble table corresponding to the type of attack being made, that is melee, ranged, etc., to determine the nature of the fumble. When using a lower die size than a d20, a natural 1 is still a fumble. Concerning firearms, pistols, rifles, and shotguns play a large part in the passion many share for the period. Weird Frontiers sets its sights on giving you a system for firearms that pays proper homage to the genre. There's a lot of historical information here and minutiae about how the period firearms worked, but there is also a simplified firearm chart in the appendix of this core book. When it comes to firearms in the Old West, judges may choose to use any or all aspects in the relevant section, but a brief discussion of firearm types and ammunition in the mid-19th century is appropriate to give a feel for the milieu. So there are details about different types of ammunition that you'll find at the time, types of guns that are available, some explanations of why the mechanics work as they do. You'll notice there is a large section of Civil War era guns. Most of the shooting irons you'll find would have been war surplus or part of a soldier's mustering out after the war, so those are the most common weapons available to player characters. So it is somewhat realistic in that regard. In fact, you have accuracy modifiers. Each firearm has 3 ranges listed on a chart. These stand for the number of feet the gun is accurate. So for example, if you are shooting at a target that is too far away, you're going to get a penalty. If the target is a bit closer, then you get a positive modifier to your attack roll. And this concludes this part of the review. In the next part we are going to talk about action types, we are going to give some details about the ammunition types, and guns mything. I like how there is a solid structure to the combat rounds. I also like it that despite being a Weird West sort of role-playing game, there is still quite a bit of realism, so that you get that strange sense or feeling that realities are clashing, that the worlds are colliding, creating a very surreal Wild West experience. Thank you for watching this part of the review. If you have any comments or questions, please let me know. And thank you so much to those of you that have been supporting the channel by sending right through RPG gift certificates. If anyone else wants to further support the channel, the information on how to do that will be in the description below. Once again, thank you, and see you later.